There comes a moment when you have to stop waiting for the world to see your value and start seeing it for yourself. You've spent too long putting everyone else first, your family, your career, your friendships. And somewhere along the way, you forgot that you matter too. But let me tell you this, 2025 is not just another year. It's your year to rise. It's your year to reclaim the love, the respect, and the energy you've been pouring out without hesitation. So many of us live with the idea that to be selfless is to sacrifice every part of ourselves for the people we care about. We believe that by pouring into others without limit, we're fulfilling our purpose, being good friends, parents, partners, and servants of our communities. And while giving is a beautiful and noble thing, there's a danger in the mindset that tells you to give until there's nothing left of you. Why? Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're not whole, if you're not well, then what you're offering is not the best of you, it's the leftovers, the scraps, and eventually nothing at all. Think of a cup that's filled to the brim with water. It's meant to nourish, to refresh, and to bring life to others. But what happens when that cup keeps pouring and pouring without being refilled? Eventually, it runs dry. And when it's empty, it's not just unable to pour, it becomes fragile. It cracks under pressure. It's no longer able to serve its purpose. That's what happens when you don't take the time to value yourself. Valuing yourself is not a selfish act. It's a necessary one. It's recognizing that you are a vessel, and if that vessel isn't cared for, it cannot function. Self-care is not about indulgence. It's about maintenance. It's about saying, I am worthy of rest. I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of filling my spirit so I can pour out with love, with joy, and with purpose. When you prioritize your well-being physically, emotionally, and spiritually, you're not taking away from others. In fact, you're giving them the best gift possible, the healthiest, most whole version of yourself. When you're rested, you show up with more energy. When you're at peace, you respond with more patience. When you feel loved and valued, you give love freely without resentment or exhaustion. Here's the thing, the people who depend on you don't just need you, they need the best you. They need the version of you that isn't running on fumes, the version of you that isn't constantly stressed, overworked, or emotionally drained. If you think about it, you're doing them a disservice by neglecting yourself. You're showing them that giving is supposed to hurt, that it's supposed to come at the expense of your own joy and health. But that's not the example you want to set, is it? So fill your cup, set time aside to rest, speak words of affirmation over yourself, set boundaries that protect your peace. Pray, meditate, laugh, cry, do whatever you need to do to remind yourself that you are worthy of care and attention, not just from others, but from yourself. And when your cup overflows, you'll find that the love, kindness, and wisdom you pour into others will come from a place of abundance, not depletion. Because here's the truth, when you value yourself first, you're not just doing it for you. You're doing it for everyone who's blessed to know you. Take care of your cup. The world needs your overflow. It's easy to fall into the trap of defining yourself by your circumstances. The world teaches us that our value is determined by what we have, what we do, or what we've accomplished. If the bank account looks good, we feel valuable. If the job title is impressive, we feel worthy. If the family is thriving, we feel like we've made it. But what happens when the money isn't flowing? The title is stripped away, or the relationships you poured so much into start to crumble. Does your value suddenly diminish? Absolutely not. Your self-worth is not a reflection of what's happening around you. It's rooted in something far deeper. It's anchored in your God-given purpose. Before you were born, God placed within you a unique calling, a design so specific that no one else in the world could replicate it. Your value isn't tied to external achievements. It's tied to the fact that you were created on purpose and for a purpose. Look at the challenges you face. Look at the seasons where it felt like everything was falling apart. Even in those moments, your worth didn't change. Maybe you lost the job, but you didn't lose the skills, the wisdom, or the potential that made you successful in the first place. Maybe the relationship ended, but it didn't erase your ability to love, to grow, or to heal. Your circumstances might shift, but your God-given identity is unshakable. The world will try to tell you otherwise. It will tell you that you're only as good as your latest success. It will convince you that your mistakes define you, that your past disqualifies you, or that your failures have diminished your value. But let me remind you, nothing you've done and nothing that's been done to you can take away what God has placed within you. Is that what you want? When you root your self-worth in your purpose rather than your circumstances, you begin to walk differently. You stop chasing validation from people or external achievements because you already know you're enough. You're not striving to prove your worth. You're simply living out of the abundance of what you already carry. This shift changes everything. It gives you peace in the storm, confidence in the unknown, and resilience in the face of failure. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you reminded yourself that you are valuable simply because you exist? You don't need to earn your worth. You don't need to perform for love. You don't need to prove yourself to the world because God has already affirmed you. And when you truly believe that, no setback, no rejection, and no circumstance can. This year, stop letting the world define you. Root yourself in the truth of who you are and whose you are. Your self-worth isn't tied to the highs and lows of life. It's grounded in the eternal purpose God has placed in you. Walk in that truth. Live in that freedom because you are worthy, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Let's talk about boundaries, the word that makes some of us uncomfortable because it feels like we're saying no when the world expects us to always say yes. For so long, many of us have believed that saying yes to everything is the ultimate proof of love, loyalty, and selflessness. But can I tell you something? There is nothing loving about giving so much of yourself that there's nothing left. There's nothing noble about allowing others to cross lines that leave you feeling depleted, used, or unseen. Boundaries are not barriers to keep people out. They are bridges to keep your relationships healthy. When you set boundaries, you're not just protecting yourself. You're also protecting the quality of your connection with others. Without boundaries, resentment creeps in, communication breaks down, and even the most important relationships can become toxic. Boundaries are an act of love, not only for yourself, but also for those you care about. Here's the truth. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's sacred. It's a declaration that you recognize your worth, your time, and your energy is valuable. It's an acknowledgement that while you want to give and serve, you cannot do so at the expense of your own well-being. Think about it. God didn't create you to be a doormat. He created you with purpose, intention, and a divine plan. That purpose cannot be fulfilled if you're constantly running on empty because you're afraid to say no. Saying no doesn't mean you're rejecting people. It means you're prioritizing what matters most. It means you're choosing to honor your needs so that you can show up fully and authentically in every area of your life. Boundaries allow you to love without conditions and serve without bitterness. They give you the space to recharge, reflect, and refocus so that what you offer to the world comes from a place of abundance, not obligation. But let's be real, setting boundaries isn't always easy. It takes courage to say, this is what I need, especially when people are used to you always being available. It takes strength to walk away from situations, relationships, or commitments that drain you. And it takes wisdom to know that you cannot please everyone, and that's okay. Boundaries are not about pleasing others, they're about. This year, I want you to challenge the idea that setting boundaries is selfish. Instead, I want you to see boundaries as a form of worship. Yes, worship. Because when you set boundaries, you're honoring the masterpiece God created in you. You're saying, I trust God enough to protect what He's given me, my time, my energy, and my peace. Boundaries are a way of telling the world, I value myself, and I refuse to live in chaos just to make others comfortable. And here's the beautiful part. When you honor yourself in this way, you teach others how to honor you too. So set those boundaries. Protect your peace. Guard your joy, and trust that the relationships and opportunities meant for you will respect the sacred space you've created. There is something powerful that happens when you start valuing yourself. It's like the atmosphere shifts and the way the world moves around you begins to change. Opportunities you thought were out of reach start showing up. People begin to treat you differently. Doors that once seemed locked begin to open. But this transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you decide deep in your spirit to value yourself the way God values you. Too often we live in a mindset of scarcity. We think if I could just settle for this job, this relationship, this life, maybe that's all I'm worth. We compromise, we shrink ourselves, and we accept less than what we deserve because we're afraid to ask for more. But let me tell you something. God didn't create you for a life of mediocrity. He didn't place dreams in your heart and gifts in your hands for you to settle. When you truly value yourself, you align with the blessings and opportunities that were already destined for you. But here's the key. Valuing yourself isn't just about knowing you're worthy. It's about walking like you're worthy. It's about making choices that reflect your worth. It's about saying, I deserve to be treated with respect, so I won't stay in spaces where I'm disrespected. It's about saying, my gifts are valuable, so I won't undersell myself just to make others comfortable. It's about trusting that when you honor yourself, you're also honoring the one who created you. When you start valuing yourself, you send a message not just to the people around you, but to the universe and to God, that you're ready for the next level. You're saying, I believe I'm worthy of what you have for me, Lord. I believe I'm ready to receive the blessings you've already prepared. And here's the amazing part. When you move in alignment with that belief, the right opportunities, relationships, and resources begin to find you. But valuing yourself also requires discernment. Not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every person who comes into your life is supposed to stay. When you value yourself, you learn to recognize what aligns with your purpose and what doesn't. You stop chasing things that aren't meant for you, and instead you position yourself for what's truly yours. This doesn't mean the journey will be easy. There will be moments when valuing yourself feels lonely because you've walked away from things that no longer serve you. There will be times when you have to say no to good things to make room for great things. But trust me when I say that the temporary discomfort of standing in your worth is nothing compared to the joy of stepping into alignment with God's plan for your life. So this year, make the decision to value yourself fully. Speak to yourself with kindness. Invest in your growth. Walk boldly in your purpose and trust that when you do, you'll unlock blessings that are bigger, greater, and more abundant than anything you could have imagined. Your value is the key to your divine alignment. Don't be afraid to use it.